Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I'm your host, Martino, and today we are going to give you guys a Lisa Frankenstein review. We're also going to speculate on some Super Bowl halftime trailers, or Super Bowl game trailers, I guess, not necessarily halftime, and a lot of other fun stuff going on today. Today is not Mr. Jose Espinel as per usual, but today I brought on my good friend Josh Richards as he saw the film with me. He is going to talk about it. What's going on, Josh? How you doing?
Hi, how's it going? I'd like to inform you. Looking at my clock, it is not the morning. It is actually late night.
Yes, these are pre-recorded, as the audience has probably figured out. The jig is up. The jig is up.
But why is it not called movie evenings?
Because we air them in the mornings.
I can't be a part of this.
Okay. Well, it was fun seeing Josh, but he's got to go get his Uber. He had waiting on him there, so he's going to do that, and I'm going to review Lisa Frankenstein.
The extract media security guard stopped me and said I'm legally contracted to be here. So
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Frankenstein's monster or something
Oh,
like
we got
that?
some Frankenstein stuff, got some Super Bowl speculation we're going to look over for some trailers, a couple of other fun stories I thought we could talk about. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, so last night you and I saw a very good movie. I know I just like gave away my thoughts. We saw Lisa Frankenstein, but I have to hype this thing up, man. I mean, this movie surprised me. I think you as well. This film, so for anybody that doesn't know, basically Lisa falls in love with the guy who's been dead and brings him back to life. So forth. We have Lisa Frankenstein, which is unlike any film that I've ever seen. I mean, Josh, what do you think of this?
Well, I actually watched the trailer while getting my oil changed at Walmart, and then decided I'd go see it, and then I messaged you about it. So I kind of went in blind because I didn't really finish the trailer.
Right.
This film, I'm not really the biggest fan of Jennifer's Body and some of Diablo Cody's other works, but this film blew me away.
It
It's so much fun.
yes, it's a blast. It's a blast. Like I really coming out of it, I was like, I'm not sure how to feel. Like I knew I liked it. I knew I had fun, and sleeping on it, it just got even better to me. And I was pretty certain when I looked anyway this morning. I was like, okay, people are going to be split right down the middle on this thing. It's either going to be for you or it's not. Like it's hitting a particular sense of humor, like a very specific sense of humor, I think, in its comedy, but also like the storytelling is off the wall. And I'm saying all this is a good thing for me. I don't think that's going to work for everybody, but I think a lot of people are going to like it. I think that the performances are top notch. Like I'm not kidding. Like not dramatically, but when you're looking at like Cole Sprouse is the monster, and like I was reading up at like all the work he put into that, like to just learn to like be silent, be subtle. I thought he did a fantastic job at that. It's a very comparable performance to Edward Scissorhands, as this film was definitely inspired by. Like it crazy. And I also think like Catherine Newton, she's making just smart decisions with her career. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp aside, I this is another performance from her. I'm like, this is not what I expect somebody of like her in her circles to do. Like it's another one of those performances to me, and a role that like actually like I think she's gonna be remembered for, because this movie's gonna have like this major cult following to it. The style of this movie as well is like, I mean, you mentioned Heathers as kind of a reference point for the style. I do agree with that in terms of the style of it. I also feel like the classic Universal monster movies, definitely took play in that. And the color palettes, I mean, the movie's just shot beautifully. Zelda Williams, daughter of Robin Williams, did a great job shooting this thing and just doing, yeah, she did a bang up job on it. And I don't know, making that parallel of like, it's a different type of comedy, but her being Robin Williams' daughter and being able to pull off comedy so well is not, it's awesome, but it's also like no surprise to me considering where she comes from. It's wildly entertaining and good. I don't know, man. I mean, what'd you think of like the style and all that? I mean, I know you said you had a blast at the movie, but
Yeah, it's a little smoothie, isn't it? You get a lot of Burton as the base, then a dash of Mean Girls, sprinkling of
yes,
Heathers. And I was thinking about this earlier, because I'm a huge John Waters fan. It
yeah,
kind of reminded me a lot of when I first watched Crybaby.
okay, yeah, I could see that too. Absolutely,
It's just
yeah,
this drive-in, fun,
yeah,
cult classic movie. Like it doesn't take itself seriously,
unapologetically,
but yeah,
yeah,
but it doesn't do it to a sense where they treat the situations in the movie. It's very like kind of what Burton used to do, satirical.
yeah,
Everyone is just this blown out version of a stereotype
yeah,
of like popular girls or the absent father
yeah,
of like the 50s, the nuclear
exactly.
father. And they just blow it out to the point where it's not obnoxious, but it just makes it overtly funny because it's just beating over the head.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's unapologetically like it doesn't make any excuses for anything it's doing in the movie. Like it embraces itself. It is not a comparable film by any means, because like, but also another great film. I was gonna say like almost like I think Shape of Water is one of those movies where it's like in the beginning you're kind of like it kind of tells you, hey, you know, this is what this movie is. Go for the ride, and then that's what this did. Like I think right from the get go, because in the beginning I would even argue like the first half I didn't. I was there was a part in the first half where I was like, this might not be for me, but it kind of pivots like as it goes, and like I think like as it starts to pivot a little bit more, because there were parts in this where it was like you'd have a scene, and then I think toward the beginning more so you'd have a scene, there'd be a scene after that, and I would say tonally those two scenes don't go together, but then there'd be a scene after that that would put those two tones together and like bring it all in, and by the end of the movie like it wrapped in a nice bow, you know, I think, and kind of made me think back on the entire experience. But even like halfway through, I was like, I've accepted that this is a movie. I got to see the whole journey before I could decide personally what I think of it, even though like I'm having fun throughout. Yeah.
You know what it kind of does? I know for a fact you've seen this movie, Better Off Dead.
Better Off Dead, I have, yes.
John
John
Cusack.
Cusack,
You
yeah, I
know
was gonna say.
how randomly in that movie he has the dream sequence and it's like a stop motion cheeseburger dancing around.
Yeah, yeah,
No reason for that to be in the movie.
yeah.
This movie had that in it, like those cult classic 80s films that just
Right.
have random moments. You could do the whole
Yes.
movie without them, but because that moment's in there makes it memorable.
Yeah, yeah. It's very it's simple, but yet it's going against the grain so much of what you think the movie's gonna be, to the point where it's like you don't know what's going to happen at every moment. Like every time a new scene would pop up, I was like, okay, I don't know where it's going. I genuinely don't know entirely where it's going. Like there was one thing, I won't give it away, but there was one thing I definitely like saw coming, but not, but like even the things that you see coming, they're not done in the way you think they're going to be done. Like it's really an interesting experience in that way. Like I will say this, like without giving much away, the murder sequences, I think every one of them was somewhat like it was done differently than you think it's going to be done. Like there's a couple you definitely
It's
see
very
coming.
pulpy.
Yes, yes, it's very
It
pulpy.
kind of like it reminded me of a more lighthearted Tales of the Crypt
Yeah,
with how they did the deaths.
I could see that. Yeah, no, I enjoy I enjoy that comparison to Tales of the Crypt. I made the weird Scarface comparison. I want to see if anybody else knows what I mean by that. Like it's nothing like Scarface, don't get me wrong, but like
I
narratively
caught what you're saying.
there's something narratively in there that just like made me think, "Oh my gosh, Scarface." Just narratively. Uh you know, Scarface or Breaking Bad maybe is another one that I can reference in that way narratively. But I also feel like you said, the Heathers was a good reference point for the style, and then Tim Burton esque, 100%, definitely Burton esque, and I think that's the other thing about this that makes it so like surprising was like this movie is it's kind of a how do I put it? Like it's the predecessor because we have Beetlejuice 2 coming later in the year. And now I'm kind of like, all right, Beetlejuice 2, what are you going to do? Not that it has to be like this movie, but it's got to be Like now that we've seen somebody like take what Burton did so well and like maximize it to a new extreme, I feel like Beetlejuice 2 at least has to like it's got competition in that matter in terms of for myself and my own personal taste. Like I'm gonna be looking at Beetlejuice 2 and being like, all right, Burton, you gotta get a little creative for me, you know. I really do think it ramped it up for me because which it might not have been otherwise, but like for me it's kind of like this movie just showed me that you could take that style and do something completely new with it, and it felt fresh. That this movie's original. Like we're making comparisons to it, but I feel like that's almost underselling like how original it is. Like we're coming up with these reference points, which is great, and the movie definitely has those. But it takes those reference points and makes a completely original movie. There's not another movie like this. Like I think I said that toward the beginning. There's not another film that you'll see that's like this movie. It's wild. It's bizarre, and I mean that in all the right ways. Like it's on a whole new level of wild and bizarre. And
It has its own homages while having its own identity at the same time.
yeah, yeah. I think Zelda Williams is the reason this works. Like at the end of the day, like while the script is there, because you did reference like Jennifer's Body, which Diablo Cody wrote
Yeah.
prior to this, and I like Jennifer's Body generally, but this is far better to me. And then the reason why is because Jennifer's Body goes through so many motions of like not knowing what it is, and this is a version of that where it's like we're gonna do a Diablo Cody script, but it's gonna be unapologetically a Diablo Cody script. Like it feels like Jennifer's Body. I could almost feel like the studio coming in and trying to be like, okay, but you gotta make a little bit of an excuse for this. You know what I mean? You got to do something that the audience would want to see. You know what I mean? Like, and then this I
Yeah,
felt
I mean,
like no studio meddling. Yeah,
I mean, Jennifer's Body, to his offense, she was before, especially with, like the studio meddling, like you said,
yeah,
was before horror comedies were really popular.
true. Yeah. Well,
Like it was
they
kind of at the
were in the
rise of them.
'80s and they've since died. You know, I think,
Yeah,
and now it's like you're right. They've kind of come back, and then also we've gotten to a place with movies where we can do something like this because we're also, you know, I don't want to say the word progressive necessarily, but we're at a place where I think like we feel like we've seen it all. So what can you do to surprise us? You know what I mean? Like what can you do that's new? That's still going to shock us. And I think again in a PG-13 setting, that was another thing that we brought up last night that was impressive to me. Like that having that PG-13 rating is almost actually part of what makes it so great because you have to watch Zelda Williams get creative about the way she does things in this film, and I think that's also part of what makes it impressive to not, you know, have it at an R. Like she has to. There's a scene involving a penis, for example, and it made that scene so much better without being as explicit about it. You know what I mean? Like I think
yeah,
the fact that it
they had to be
wasn't as
clever about how they shot it.
but it made me laugh even more because of that, like because of the way they shot it, because of the way they went about it, it got the laugh better. Yeah, the penis scene was killer, and people are going to be talking about that scene. That's it, there's like something people remember from this movie, it's going to be that scene. Like that's one of the brilliant things about it. People that don't like this movie and the people that like this movie are both going to be talking about the penis scene, you know, equally as much. Like in
Is this the
terms
most you've said penis on a more movie mornings?
probably
Okay, because we're up to five.
six maybe, I
Oh,
don't know,
six.
I
There
didn't
we
count.
go.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was just
six
curious
because
because a lot of penis has been said.
well, six because you said penis when you were asking me about penis.
Seven.
Yeah. Eight, nine. But
Almost
yeah,
got a baker's dozen.
almost did there. But
Also, if
the
I look like I'm squirming around, I'm being attacked by a cat
oh yeah,
throughout this episode.
that
So
would
she
explain
keeps
it.
jumping up and scratching me.
That would explain it. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what else to really say about it other than like you I think everybody should check it out. Like if you like horror in
Go as
any type
blind
of
as
way,
possible.
go as blind as possible. If you like any type of like horror thing, like go as blind as possible. It's because again, it's like I can't predict whether this movie's going to work for you or not. It's just something you have to see. Either way, it's going to be a movie that makes you want to have a conversation about it. You know, it's a conversation starter for sure. I also again I think that like once this thing hits streaming, it's gonna find its audience. I'm not sure how it's gonna do in the box office, although I wish it all the success in the world. I don't know how it will do this weekend, but I do think like once it hits streaming, for sure, it's gonna be good stuff. I don't know, Josh. You have anything else you want to add about it?
I just think it's a cult classic in
Yeah,
the making.
yeah,
I think this is gonna have its following like Burton did back in the 80s.
yeah. So there was one other thing I did want to mention really quick before we grade it entirely here, but I think there was a part in this movie where it referenced Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I got just slightly upset. Or I shouldn't say that. I would have been upset in a different movie. Because my philosophy on a movie like this is you can't make it on purpose. It has to happen accidentally. But this felt like they made it on purpose and it worked. Usually that doesn't work when you try to make something like this on purpose, but this time it did. Like you have to, I don't know. Like to me, I was like, if any other movie like that tried to make the next Rocky Horror or something, I would have, I would have been like mad. But because this one was so successful, even though it felt very much in control of itself and on purpose, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just thought like I would have been upset in any other movie, but somehow this one just had so much control over itself that I wasn't. Uh, yeah, again, like I think like the beginning, my only problem is I just think the beginning had just some slight pacing issues, but overall, like I think this movie was pretty successful in terms of what it wanted to be.
So it's interesting you say that because I've never seen Rocky Horror.
Okay.
So the reference that you're referring to is organic because I didn't even catch that there was a reference to Innocent Rocky Horror in
Okay.
there.
Yeah, well they said damn it Janet at one point, which is a Rocky Horror
Oh,
line.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the only Rocky Horror reference that they made.
Gotcha.
Uh
That's the one over my head. So
yeah, but I could
this
see
came off as a line.
they definitely like paid homage to a movie like it. You know what I mean? Like I think that
Yeah.
they knew that they were wanting to be a cult classic, and usually when I see movies try to do another Rocky Horror cult classics, thing, it just doesn't work. But again, in this case, it worked. Like they actually did it on purpose, and it worked somehow. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they did. Damn it, Janet. But this is awesome. This is awesome. This is a really fun time, guys. Like I'm not kidding. It's a blast. Again, I think there's one or two scenes. Oh, I did want to point out soundtrack was pretty good. There was a version of Can't Fight This Feeling in there, and I was like, who is singing that in the background? Not when one of the characters are singing it. There's a woman singing it in the background on the soundtrack, and I was like, who is singing that? And I looked it up, and it was like from our childhood, JoJo of all people. I was like, this just goes to show, like no other studio film
So
is gonna put JoJo on a soundtrack right now.
okay, that's actually kind of funny. So I have because I was looking up to see what other movies Zelda's done.
Yeah.
And actually right here on the screen, she directed a music video for JoJo back in 2016.
Ah, see, so that's how
Oh,
that
she's directed
happens.
3 videos for her actually.
That's how
So
that happens.
yep.
Yeah. I am just stunned though, and again, that goes to show you though, like I'm still stunned by like how little interference there was by the studio on this,
Yeah.
because if you look at the budget, it's not small. You know what I mean? It's not
Mm-mm.
tiny. It's done by an actual studio, and it's not a tiny budget. And usually you get more interference, but good on them for not. Like this feels like I'm so tired of like now we gotta you see a Ridley Scott or Zack Snyder film, you gotta wait for the director's cut. This felt like it was the director's cut put in theaters, and it was done in an hour 57 minutes
Yeah,
or whatever
one
it
thing
was.
too I'm gonna praise it for is Cole's what's the thing
Cole
Cole
Sprouse,
from Riverdale. Yeah,
yeah,
Cole Sprouse.
yeah,
The fact
surprised
that
me.
they captured such like a big name modern day heartthrob
Yeah,
and put him under so much makeup and gave him I mean he just makes noises that anyone else could have played that character. Like it's just so it's interesting they let him just do that role without
yeah.
using star power on him.
I kind of like I was saying about Catherine Newton earlier, though. I think it's even interesting that he wanted to do this role next. That he
Yeah.
could do like he could do any I don't want to say like rom com per se, but like he could play any like romantic partner in a big movie, and like probably it'll make some money. You know what I mean? He could do like a 50 Shades of Grey type of thing, or whatever dumb thing they want to shove down our throats next in that genre. But instead, he went with this, and this was again against the grain of all of those things. Your Twilights and 50 Shades of Greys and Warm Bodies, which is a movie I like, but like it went against the grain of all those, and and did something different with it. And like you said, yeah, you don't see Cole Sprouse for most of this movie in his full form. Not trying to give much away there, but you're right. That is respectable for sure.
And then it's actually interesting about him because I was kind of looking into other stuff he's done. He does a lot of weird like projects that you wouldn't expect from someone
Yeah,
from like a hit CW TV show.
yeah.
Like he's made like a produced and starred in this whole radio drama based off of creepypasta.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember the name of it, it's escaping me. But yeah, like he does like a radio drama, like he does weird one-off projects. So I'm not surprised
Yeah,
he signed on to this.
yeah,
But it's just weird the studio didn't like give him a bigger light.
yeah. I get it. Yeah, no, no, for sure. And also like, yeah, I was watching some interviews with him, and he's a weird guy, seemingly, and that might not be a bad
Yeah.
thing. Again, like I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's good for him, and also, again, when it comes to yeah, Catherine Newton again, also just killing it and giving picking another role that I think she's going to be hopefully remembered for. Again, like Marvel aside, her projects have been pretty much, I think, against the grain of what you think somebody like her would do. So I've definitely enjoyed watching her career here, and I can't wait to see what she does next as well. So it's going to be very, very exciting. So yeah, all right, man. I'm gonna give this a grade. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say must watch. I'm giving the must watch. We grade from must watch, might watch, don't watch to. I know you haven't done this before. Forget about it. What do you got here?
Uh, must watch twice.
Must watch twice. All right, I like that. Putting his own spin on that. So, guys, if you've seen Lisa Frankenstein, let us know what you thought of it. Give us your grade of it, I guess, in your own way. And if you are going to go see it because of this review, also let us know because that is much appreciated. And if we convince you to see a movie that you loved, give us a like, please, would you? All right, Josh, what were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was just saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a thought.
Yeah.
I thought I stepped over a thought, so I apologize. All right,
No, no, you're good.
guys.
You're good.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I did mention we have some fun stories. First thing I want to get into is the Super Bowl stuff. We have, some of the insiders are starting to speculate a bit as to what trailers we're going to get at Super Bowl, and I was thinking we can add our own speculation for it. And let's see what we got here. So they are talking about. All right, so here we go. This is from Variety. Super Bowl movie trailers: Deadpool 3, Wicked, and Quiet Place prequel spots poised to dominate the big game. In the big game of football, possession is everything. Well, they make jokes. When it comes to this year's Super Bowl, one studio will dominate the field by running nearly a dozen spots for its upcoming and existing releases. Paramount is expected to unveil ads for post-apocalyptic horror prequel, A Quiet Place Day One, the reggae biopic Bob Marley One Love, and If, or Imaginary Friends. The live-action fantasy comedy directed by John Krasinski and starring Ryan Reynolds. The studio's outsized presence makes sense because the big game will air on CBS, a sister company of Paramount. Paramount will loom over the Super Bowl because beyond the studio's cinematic offerings, it will use promotional space for Paramount Plus. The studio's streaming service will unspool 8 ads for such titles as Sonic the Hedgehog spinoff, Knuckles. It's a series that studio produced for Paramount Plus. Animated adventure, I got you. Knuckles animated adventure, Tiger's Apprentice, Sylvester Stallone led reality show, the Family Stallone, and next season of She spots before kickoff. During the game, the company will tout titles on. Oh, they're going to do Halo. I'm going to skip through some of these because I just wanted to kind of get to the big stuff on this. Let's see. Okay, that's why Disney is likely to promote several of its summer temples during football's hottest night. Although the studio isn't sharing which will get airtime, it's possible that viewers will enjoy a first look at Deadpool 3, which teams Ryan Reynolds with Hugh Jackman in the buzzy comic book adventure, as well as Pixar's anticipated sequel Inside Out 2. According to sources familiar with those films, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which opens in May and has already been heavily advertised, may also snag a spots. And then down here they go on to talk about Wicked, Fall Guy, Kung Fu Panda 2. The one that was interesting to me is that they also mentioned Twisters down here. Might be one. So I'm interested in that for sure. Let's see. So I want to read on here. There will be no shows from the major studios. Warner Brothers, Sony, Netflix, and Amazon are not expected to run any trailers, despite all having a slew of upcoming tentpoles on the calendar. However, plans could always change before the main matchup. Sony, whose absence isn't a shock because it typically sits out of the Super Bowl, won't be offering fans a sneak peek at Bad Boys 4 or Ghostbusters or the next Ghostbusters. Warner's, like, we don't have enough trailers. Warner's possibly already broke the bank by showcasing Dune Part 2 during AFC, NFC championships in Dune 8. Anyway, all this to say, Josh, I was kind of just going to say I think that they got this pretty spot on for all the trailers that we're going to get. One of the other ones I wanted to ask your opinion on this that I thought maybe that they might have left out of this was the Godzilla X Kong. I'm surprised that they don't think that we're going to get a trailer for that during the Super Bowl game.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I don't know how much more you could show of that trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the toys, but the toys have been spoiling that movie like crazy.
But also, like, we know what that movie is too.
Yeah,
like it's Godzilla and
Saturday morning
Kong are gonna
cartoon.
fight. So I don't know if that's like a good reason for them to hold out at the Super Bowl, but I also think like they could take like advantage of the Super Bowl, get a trailer out there. You know, I don't know how many people I'm sure like a lot of them have, but I don't know like how many have actually seen like -1 that are going to be watching the big game. But still, like it's still is a good way to bank on that success. You get your 30-minute spot, and it's like, sorry, not 30-minute spot, Jesus, 30 seconds. That's two halftime shows right there. The 30-second spot, and you're like, and you go trailer online now. I don't know why they wouldn't take advantage of that. That's weird to me, but okay.
The one I've been seeing a rumor mill of, and I'm getting a 20% likeliness.
Okay. I'm interested.
Is Maxine. People are saying a Maxine trailer is gonna pop on the
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm like A20. That's A24 doesn't have the money for that. I don't think.
I think what's more likely to me with the Maxine, although I think we're gonna get a trailer soon. I think what's more likely to me is that trailer airs like the day before the Super Bowl, and then maybe they get like a 10-second ordeal that's like, hey, if you're interested in Maxine, or even like maybe even 5 seconds, you know, because I don't think that they're gonna.
That's a Super Bowl audience. I think would be wanting a Maxine trailer.
Yeah, like
Twisters.
Twisters
is
interesting.
Movie. That's gonna get every dad in the United States excited.
And that is so smart to air at the Super Bowl. Like, to put that trailer out there, and like. Now, I'm trying to figure out, too, like, okay, like, I don't understand why they wouldn't do Bad Boys 4, because that is also very much a dad movie. I don't understand why they're not going to make a presence with that. I find that to be interesting.
Because Bad Boys don't follow the rules, Tom.
Fair enough. I mean, I love Bad Boys 3, by the way.
I've never seen a Bad Boy movie.
This 3 is good.
Mama raised a good boy over here.
1 and 2 is nuts. 3 I do recommend. However, yeah, no, I'm surprised that they're not going to do that. Yeah, I don't know. Are you even excited for Twisters?
I'm curious.
I'm curious too.
Doing the alien formula. Like, I imagine they're in there and they just put a $sign at the end of Twister.
Yeah.
And they're like, there you go.
Who's even in the damn thing? I don't even know if I think some of the originals are coming back, but
I'm kind of convinced it's not real. Like,
I just want to see what it looks like. Like, is it gonna be bad CGI again? Like,
let's hope.
Yeah. Or are they gonna actually like try to make this a serious tornado movie?
I'm curious.
Me too.
I think it'll be like a Paramount exclusive. I don't think it'll be like a theatrical movie.
Well, I mean, to make the Bad Boys comparison, like the first 2 Bad Boys movies are hogwash. The stories are hogwash, but the characters are good. So what they did right in Bad Boys 3 is, I always said, like, you can make a great Bad Boys movie if you make the story good for these characters, and they gave the characters a great story in 3. That's why I'm like, maybe Twister will follow the Bad Boys route and like give it like an actual like real story, like a real hard-hitting tornado story, instead of something as cheesy as the original. Yeah, I don't know who's even going to be in this thing. I know that some of the originals are coming back. You got the cast.
Did a wiki on it.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got there?
Looks like it is starring Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. I forgot he was on that. Yeah.
Anthony Ramos. Let's see, development. It's gonna be a remake.
Glenn Powell's gonna be in like every dad movie follow-up. Like he did Top Gun Maverick, and he's gonna star in this one. I'm trying to think of like other, like if they ever do like a Commando follow up, it's gonna be Glenn Powell.
The film incorporates climate change into the plot, Smith explained. That's one of the things that we are kind of capped on, and it's true. I talked to many storm experts, tornado experts, and storm chasers, and rode around with some. Even tornado season itself seems to be because of climate change.
It's
What
just
used to be what used to be Tornado Alley now seems to be a certain stretch. It extends to the farther east, and it's moving across states are wider, numbers are getting higher. So I honestly think by the sounds of this, they're using climate change as a plot element, obviously, but I think they're doing it like aliens. Like, but what if there was more?
oh, I wanted to mention that. That was another one that we might be getting a trailer for was Alien. I thought it mentioned it somewhere in this article, but I guess not.
I don't know, that one I think is maybe too early for.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll be excited if we do. I'm definitely curious about that one. So the big one here is Deadpool 3, obviously debuting at Super Bowl.
It'll
I
it'll be I don't think it'll debut at Super Bowl. I think
30-second spot.
the red band will come out Sunday morning, and then during the Super Bowl, trailer available now.
Okay, I see what you're
Don't
saying.
go online.
I don't know.
A trailer for a trailer.
I would agree with you, except the fact that we know Taylor Swift is going to be in the press box, and who's rumored to be in this.
Oh, I think she's supposed to be
Dazzler.
Dazzle?
Yeah.
Dazzler.
So she's rumored to be in this. She's going to be in that press box, and I bet you Hugh and Ryan are up there with her, and I think they're going to make a play on this. That's why I think it's going to debut at Super Bowl. The green
I wouldn't
band.
be shocked if Ryan's in the uniform or the outfit.
I think the green band. Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, Ryan or even Hugh, maybe. Like that'd be hilarious.
He was like, no. You got me for the movie. That's enough.
Yeah, no, for sure. My wife left me because yeah, but
What?
they got divorced. You didn't hear that?
Because of the movie?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I was to say, it's like, good lord.
No, I was just I don't know his life, but they they were like I mean that wouldn't shock me if he was in there, but like at the same time, like I think maybe they show the green band even like, and then you get the red band online like right when it airs, because that's the only reason I disagree with the otherwise, like if Taylor Swift wasn't so rumored to be in this, and I'm pretty positive she's going to be in the movie, I would probably be like, yeah, I agree with you.
Which that's going to make the theater experience just fantastic. I can't wait.
Anyway,
the scene she pops up, I'm not going to be able to hear the next scene.
I'm a Swift fan. I like Taylor Swift. But
well, if you screech next to me, I'm gonna stare at you.
I'm not gonna screech. I'm not gonna screech. I might.
You're gonna screech. You're gonna start clapping.
I might do a quick one for you.
No, God.
No, it hurts my hands, man. I got a silent clap in a movie like this. Yeah, because Spider-Man No Way Home, man. I walked out, my hands kind of sore, so I gotta
what?
I got a soft clap. No, I'm kidding.
Well, Spider-Man's a young man's game, Dom.
I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited for Deadpool 3.
No, you clapped at Lisa Frankenstein, now that I think about it.
I did?
Yeah, you clapped at the penis scene.
I did. I actually went.
Yeah.
I gave you a quick one. I did. You're right. I'm a clapper. What do you want me? What do you want from me? I'm a clapper.
You literally did the Shia LaBeouf meme.
No, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna throw another one at you. Give me an over under 50% on this. Joker 2.
I can honestly see it going either way. I think just dead center 50.
I'm under 50, but not by much. Just because it's a cheaper movie, just a little bit. I mean, they don't. It's guaranteed to make a lot of money, but like they don't spend a ton on the Joker movies. So I don't know if they'll want to like shell out the budget for an ad, but it'd be pretty neat.
And then again, knowing WB is probably going to be a tax write-off, and they're going to put it on the shelf next to Coyote.
Yeah, for sure. What about oh no, that was a bad joke. I was going to say, what about Avatar 3? That's not coming until next year, I don't think, anyway. But
you think that's coming out in a timely manner?
Avatar 3?
Yeah, you're gonna take your grandkids
Oh,
to
I'm
see
not. I'm
that.
not convinced. Yeah, I'm not convinced it's gonna come out in a timely manner. Well, three
James
should because
Cameron's get
three's done.
James Cameron's gonna be a head in a jar, like in Futurama,
Yeah,
and he's gonna be making that movie.
three is done. However, at any given moment, he could decide he wants to change something, and then that'll lead to something else, and that'll lead to something else, and then that movie's not going to come out. So
It's almost like poetry. It rhymes.
it really does. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think so. I'm not 100% convinced it's going to come out in time. But yeah. So this is actually. So I have one more trailer I wanted to speculate on, but in order to do that, we have to talk about this next story, which was like kind of a what. So I do want to get your take on this, and I don't think you're like a fan of this IP, but I still think this story is going to make you react. So this was really fascinating. I actually couldn't believe this when I read it. I was like, part of me was like, okay, and then the other part of me was like, okay, I don't get this. So yeah, I do want to hear your take on this overall. Moana 2 is coming to theaters this November, reveals Disney in surprise announcement. So check this out, because this gets really fascinating. Moana is getting an animated sequel in addition to an upcoming live action reimagining. Disney Animation announced Wednesday that Moana 2 is coming to theaters this November, sharing a brief teaser. Moana remains an incredibly popular franchise, and we can't wait to give you more Moana and Maui when Moana 2 comes to theaters this November, said Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger in a statement. According to a synopsis, Moana 2 takes audiences on an expansive new voyage with Moana, Maui, a brand new crew of unlikely seafarers. After receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, Moana must journey to the far seas of Oceania, into dangerous, long lost waters for an adventure unlike anything she's ever faced. All right, so this is where it gets fascinating. The animated sequel is directed by Dave Derrick Jr., featuring music by Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear. Let's remember that. Opatia Fowie and Mark Messina. That's who the music's by. The hit film is also getting a live action version coming up soon, with Dwayne Johnson reprising the role as the demigod Maui there. Last April, Disney announced the live action version of Moana. The voice behind Moana, Mean Girls star Louis Carvalho, I can't pronounce her name, I apologize, is serving as an executive producer that on that project as a new actress takes on the lead role. In a statement at the time, Carvalho 23 said the character she had such a profound impact on how we think of Disney princesses. Moana's strength and perseverance is inspiring to audiences around the world, to me and to everyone who helped bring her to life. I'm looking forward to sharing her story in a whole new way. Moana 2 is in theaters on November 27th. Okay, so I don't think maybe I'm wrong. I don't think you have any like stake in this IP. Like I don't think
I've never seen Moana.
Okay, I think it's great. I think it's one of Disney's best animated things in a long time. However, November? Like what? Like
Now let's say that they've been cooking behind the scenes this whole time.
all right, so I read a couple different things about the story that for whatever reason wasn't included in this article. So the big draw of Moana, first of all, if you read this article, it doesn't even sound like the main girl's coming back. Abuli, who played Moana, right? Which I almost feel like you need her to make this work, but we'll see. Then you also have Dwayne Johnson, who's a big draw for Moana. And I read that they don't even know if he's coming back. How do you not know if he's coming back or not? It's coming out in November.
Yeah, you should have the audio already recorded by now.
And then the third caveat, exactly. And then the third caveat I want to throw at you. This was a Disney Plus series. They decided to make a movie. So, which they've been doing a lot, and sometimes to their benefit. However, if you're doing a movie, you're calling this the Moana sequel, essentially. And this sounds so cheap. And then I want to circle back around to, whoever was doing the music here. Ain't Lin-Manuel Miranda, which is part of what made the first movie so good to people.
It's just kind of like remember the 2000s and the 90s, like the straight to DVD
That's what
Disney
I'm thinking.
sequels.
I'm like, but they're putting this in theaters. And this doesn't sound like a theater movie to me.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
think
I mean,
this,
I know absolutely nothing about the movie.
it's
Is she
fine.
like a kid in the movie?
Yeah, which she could be older, I guess, so you could
Yeah,
maybe
maybe that's a
explain
different
it
voice
that way.
actress.
But Dwayne the Rock Johnson, like when they say they
Yeah,
don't know if he's coming back or not, how do you not know? Like at this point,
but he's going to be in the live action version.
well, he is going to be in the live action, yeah, but they don't know if he's coming back for this animated sequel or not. Well, like, don't you know
I
what
mean,
your story is? Is that character in the
yeah,
story? Did you ask him to come back? This is coming in November.
and that means that's weirder too because like we just got out of the writer's strike not that long ago,
Yeah,
which I should have halted that a bit more.
yeah. This just doesn't sound good to me. Like this sounds bad for the fans, myself included. Apparently, I mean, I enjoyed the first film quite a bit, but yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like what's that Family Guy joke? Mafar may need glasses, or Jafar might need glasses.
yeah. I don't know. It's so weird to me. I wanted to let's look at this really quick. I just noticed that they had a first look announcement on this, so I wanted to take a look here and see how cheap this thing looks, if anything. I mean, I think that was like an older Moana, so maybe they could change the voice actors for that reason. I don't know. I can't see anything. I mean, the
I mean,
animation looks
maybe
fine.
if she's older, I mean, maybe Dwayne's just not there. His character.
I don't know. I was just so fascinated by this thing.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, unless they've had this cooking behind the scenes since the first one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Moana too.
That,
Hmm.
but if the writer's strike didn't happen, that means it probably would have come out even sooner.
Yeah. Well, they're doing what they're doing with Mandalorian. They took the series and they put it into a movie.
Yeah,
But I'm just like, again though, with Mandalorian, they know Pedro's going to be in it. You know what I mean? They have all that set up, and with this thing, it's just so weird the little amount of details that we're getting on this thing. Like it's happened in November. So that was a question I was going to have for you. So to follow that up though, all this to say, do you think that this is a possibility for Super Bowl? A full trailer.
yeah. I'd probably give that an 80.
I give it 80's high. I give it a 60.
I mean, because that animation looked pretty good and pretty close to being done, and
Yeah.
it was what 10 seconds,
Right. I
if
mean,
even that.
it probably is done. I mean, like I said, it probably who knows because they don't even know if Dwayne Johnson's coming back though. That's the weird thing.
Unless they're just sitting on it.
I don't know, but like they did say like I said, I think it is completed for the most part because like it was a series that they cut into a movie. So I mean I would say about 60 on Moana. That's where I'm gonna go with that. But yeah, I just think that's a possibility that a lot of people have been looking over for this to be a trailer. They got to do something with it to get people hyped. I mean, it's Moana too. It's a big deal for them. I mean, it should make a lot of money theoretically just off the name. But yeah, I don't know. I'm so fascinated by that, so I was just wanting to get your take on that. But all right, so this today's apparently a day full of stories you either don't give a shit about or just don't like because our next one here, this actually will fascinate you though. I still think you're gonna be fascinated by this move, and this one I think you could speak to a little bit more because the reason I'm bringing these up today is like partially I mean I really just want to hear your take on some of this stuff because this next one is like to me just as fascinating as the one we just read, if not even more fascinating. So I recently saw a little movie called Argyle. You guys can find the review on the channel. I thought it was terrible. But I'm a Matthew Vaughn fan in general. Like, I think Layer Cake is good. I know you don't like Kick-Ass. I liked X-Men First Class. I don't know your take on that.
I did like X-Men First Class.
You did?
I think that movie's fire.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I love
okay,
that movie.
okay. So, yeah, I mean, Matthew Vaughn is a filmmaker. And I don't remember your take on Kingsman. I thought it was the first one.
I've never seen it.
Okay, I think the first one's great. 2, 3 feel like Argyle, pretty much. So he hasn't been hitting big. However, luckily this story is not necessarily about something he's directing, but is really, really fascinating. All right, so I do want to hear your take on this. So, Argyle director Matthew Vaughn announces secret action movie with Sam Rockwell and Chris Hemsworth. Argyle director Matthew Vaughn recently revealed that he has already reteamed with Sam Rockwell, who played Aiden in the 2024 spy action They say that like 2024 was so long ago. Spy action comedy movie on a new action movie that he has produced in secret. Produced, not directed. Kind of important here. Vaughn teased the untitled action movie during the appearance on the Happy Sad Confused podcast via Collider. I've been producing a very, very special movie. Very excited about it. I just saw a half an hour cut together. This will have the same sort of impact as Kick-Ass did. That's going to piss you off. What can I say? It's what I can say is it's a movie that is written, directed, and starring my stunt team. The director teased it is a film like no other movie that's ever been made, and it's also got Chris Hemsworth and Sam Rockwell in it, plus some other very, very interesting cameos, and it's reinventing an action movie. All right, so I have questions about this for sure. Sam Rockwell and Chris Hemsworth, how in the hell did you do this in secret? That's part A. Part B is, okay, I know you have your opinions on the Kick-Ass movie, but it really did start to bring up the genre of like the gun fu a little bit more into the mainstream.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. So he is saying in terms of that, it's going to change the way we do action movies moving forward. And also, I think if we scroll down a little bit, it sounds like it was directed by his stunt team, which kind of reminds me of John Wick quite a bit because it was like a stunt guy that directed that film. And then also, like, when Matthew Vaughn says that this movie's going to change action movies, I'm almost inclined to believe him because, like, A, we were talking about Kick-Ass bringing gun fu to the mainstream. And then B, if you're looking at another movie that Matthew Vaughn didn't direct but produced, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which introduced this whole like Guy Ritchie genre to the mainstream of action films. So I'm just looking at this like I'm inclined to believe him when he says that this thing is that good. However, I'm damned curious as to like, is this like a web project or what are we talking about here? You know, that you shot it in secret. Like I'm picturing like part of my brain is kind of going to like this is a movie shot on like a phone, like they went into like an alley and made like an hour and a half movie on a phone, like a feature length thing or something like that. I don't know, what are you gathering from this? Because like I'm fascinated to hear your opinion for sure.
Well, I'm a huge David Bowie fan,
Okay.
and the fact that when David Bowie did New Day, he did that entire album without a soul knowing about, and just dropped the first single,
Yeah.
Where Are We Now? And the fact that he was able to do that without a single photo being leaked of him walking to a studio or anything.
Yeah.
I could see him just be able to do a movie in the shadows, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. I think I see what you're saying, and like I'm still kind of like the how of it is kind of what like still fascinates me. Now one of the things I was kind of reading into some stuff, like I looked into like Argyle, for example, and apparently Apple paid $200 million for that movie. The movie's budget wasn't necessarily 200 million. So I almost got to wonder if they just shot it with Argyle. You know what I mean? Like the stunt team on Argyle just directed the film and Matthew Vaughn agreed to produce it, whatever in the hell it is. Like
Yeah.
that's how they went about it. Like because if you have extra money left over, you can theoretically use that however you want, you know, when you're given the budget. So the production budget, that is. So I gotta wonder if maybe that's how he did it, if that's how they went about this.
That's probably why, or how. I mean,
Yeah, like
because
yeah,
doing a movie in secret, I think it's easier to pull off than people think.
yeah,
With
I get you. But a movie starring Chris Hemsworth.
I mean,
Like you would have thought we heard Chris Hemsworth spotted on the Argyle set. You know what I mean? If that's how they did it, that's the only reason I'm like baffled by this a little bit.
but think about how much like news has slowed down with writer strike and all that. We kind of
It did.
everything is kind of like a clogged pipe. Like so much is coming out news wise that
It
things
did.
just get buried.
No, I agree with that too. I think that's definitely a factor. But I also think like the other reason I'm surprised by it in the same hand that they did it. It's not so much that they did a movie in secret with Sam Rockwell. It's the Chris Hemsworth of it that kind of gets me because The reason being is like the other elements of Chris Hemsworth was like going on about how he was done acting or whatever. Remember that for a minute? And he was like, "Oh, I got, a high risk of Alzheimer's in my old age. I want to step away from acting for a bit, take a break." And then, here he is doing this. He thinks somebody would have like caught on, like Chris Hemsworth's out and about, unless his whole "I'm stepping away from acting" was a ploy, so nobody followed him anywhere. Who knows? You know what I
It
mean?
could
Or
be.
nobody thought to find him, so that way he can go do this secret movie that's produced by Matthew Vaughn or whatever. I don't know. It's really, really fascinating to me. All right, so let me ask you though, because we got to take these statements with a grain of salt. What do you think the likelihood is? I have my opinion, as I said, I'm kind of inclined to believe in, but what do you think the likelihood is that this actually changes action movies and how they're done?
Oh,
Whatever
very
this is.
little.
Okay.
Very
All right.
little.
It,
I'd say like John Wick would be the closest contender, and I don't think it made John Wick style movies, but I don't think it's changed how we view action movies. Like Beekeeper doesn't seem like John Wick. You know what I mean? It still seems like an 80s fun.
yeah.
I think that's just a tried and true formula, and I feel like it's kind of stuck in its ways.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, I think even if they even even if they do this on an iPhone or whatever, I don't think that it's gonna suddenly make like directors use iPhones on every action movie. Because
Yeah,
what was that Soderbergh one, the Unsane? Remember? Like,
yeah, and what's that one? Hardcore Henry. Do you remember that?
oh yeah, yeah, first
And
person,
people are like, "Oh, this is gonna be like cause every action movie to be first person," and
yeah,
it just kind of faded away.
yeah. I mean, I could definitely see the cynicism here because it's kind of like, okay, producer says great thing about his movie. That's coming out.
Yeah,
That's kind of it. I mean, it is fascinating, and I also think like when you really think about it, the only good reason to shoot something like this in secret is for the marketing purposes. You know what I mean? Because it's going to drive so much more attraction to it just because it's like a secret movie. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. It's like, oh, they did this without people knowing, and
it's
I
the
can hear it now. Yeah,
only reason you do that. And then on top of that, we have producer saying great thing about his movie. The only reason that like I again am inclined to believe it is because it is coming from Matthew Vaughn, who I feel like has done that like twice before now. Not necessarily like changed action movies entirely. Like it's always going to drive its natural course. I agree with you, or it's always going to go its natural course. I agree with you on that. But at the same time, like twice before, he has kind of introduced a new subsect of action. So I mean, maybe at the very least, like let's say that I'm right and it's shot on an iPhone, we get maybe 2 3 more iPhone movies, right, that come out of this from other filmmakers, like, or something. And then it's a phase and it's dying down, because like even the John Wick thing, it's going but it's not going as much, you know what I mean? Like it's,
yeah. It's very man. The John Wick movies do it.
yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, like Beekeeper I hear is good, but it didn't make like crazy money, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I think it did all right, but it wasn't like crazy money by any means.
You know,
But
on the topic of John Wick, and John Wick movies, I remember when the trailer for Pig came out. They made the
oh
trailer of
yeah,
Pig look like the next John Wick.
they really
It ends up
did.
becoming this very melancholy drama.
Right. No, they really did. You're not wrong about that. Like I did think that was like, oh, it's Cage's John Wick, when I saw that
Yeah,
trailer. Everybody's gonna get their own John Wick. We have Brad Pitt with Bullet Train, and Violent
I
Night
forgot about Bullet
for,
Train.
yeah, Violent Night with the oh god, who, David Harbour. And then you had Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, which was fantastic, by the way.
Oh, I love yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody's
Nobody was
the creme of the
awesome.
creme.
Yeah, it was great. But still, like everybody's getting one of these things now. Maybe this is Chris Hemsworth's. Oh, no, Chris Hemsworth had one already. Extraction. I forgot about that. He already got his own. So I just don't know what this is gonna be. Maybe it'll be cool. I don't know. But I'm definitely fascinated by it. That's for sure. So there is that. All right, man. We're gonna get to our final segment of the show. This is my favorite part. You and I have been on a kick of this lately, so I think you're gonna enjoy this section of the show as well. And we always end with this, and that segment is Sup with Star Wars. So I'm super stoked to talk about Star Wars, as I am always, and I'm happy to have you here today, Josh, for this, because you've gone on your own newly found you have newfound love for this franchise again, and I'm very excited about that. I don't know if you want to explain a little bit of that or elaborate on that to people about your newfound love for Star Wars and how you kind of got back to it.
Yeah, so basically my whole life I've been a Star Wars fan. One of those things where you don't remember the first time you've seen Star Wars, but because your whole life you just known Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I remember, lightsaber duels in the cul-de-sac when episode 3 came out. And then I was one of the people in the theater 12 hours, like sitting in the theater 12 hours to save your seat for a New Hope, or not New Hope, good God, Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But then over time, it got a little saturated, and then every day it was clickbait articles. Oh, this woke thing, they're doing this woke thing. It just got muddied water, and I just kind of stopped caring.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then,
We all
the
got there.
great divide between those. I'm not a big fan of the sequel movies, but at the end of the day, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Mandalorian came out, loved the Mandalorian, but then the Gina Carino thing happened, and then that's like, oh my god, this is just. I just hate that Star Wars became this social politic. It's just a fun fantasy series.
Yeah. Yeah.
This series is about hope.
Yeah.
And then people just throw all this political, real life issues in it, and just
Yep.
muddies the water for me.
Yeah.
It makes me just not care.
Yeah. No,
And
I feel you.
but for Christmas, you got me a grindhouse cut.
I forgot I was responsible for this.
Of Empire. And
Yes.
Christmas Eve, I decided I have a projector in my room, and I decided to project it, and it reminded me of the fun whimsicalness of it all, this
Yeah.
fantasy adventure, and
Yeah.
it just kind of threw a match into the fire, not fire, the gasoline. Good God.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I was like, oh, and like, I mean, I'm getting older now, and I just the more I see these things going on, and the grifting, and oh, this Disney did this, and oh, fans say this, I just get older. I just don't care, and I just enjoy the medium for what it is. Like, I love the EU books. I like some of the stuff they're doing with the Disney. I mean, Rebels is like my favorite Star Wars thing ever.
It's great.
Ahsoka is a masterpiece in my mind. There's a lot of good in there, but people tend to focus on the negativity, and it drags it down.
Yeah, no, and part of our mission statement with this segment of the show is definitely to avoid that negativity,
Yeah,
and get back to like what made Star Wars fun, in the first place, which is why we won't be talking about a certain story that came out recently, and also just because I find it to be irrelevant until it affects the narrative of the films, or the TV shows or whatever's going on. It's irrelevant here, and that's kind of what we like to stick to, are things that affect the narratives or action figures or fun stuff, and then get back to that childhood, love of
I can
Star
actually
Wars.
boil it down to something more poignant of what I was trying to say. Star Wars is my escape from reality.
Yes.
Let it just be that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to read a story about a boy that saves the world with magical powers and a light sword.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely our mission statement here for this segment of the show. And yeah, I always just try to just stick with the fun stuff and stuff that's just going to give us more love for Star Wars, and just get away from that other stuff, that other section of the internet, and hopefully because I'll tell you what, like, I agree with you, was not fun for me there for a little bit too, talking about Star Wars on the internet. and but yeah, it's an important part of my life as well, and so I'm very happy to bring this to everybody. And here we go. So we're going to start with a story here, speaking of which, and Disney CEO confirms next Star Wars movie plans, hence more films yet to be announced. Disney CEO Bob Iger has confirmed Lucasfilm's plans for next Star Wars movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, and hinted more is on the way. And so this comes to us from a Screen Rant here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed The Mandalorian and Grogu will be the next Star Wars movie to release, launching a new wave of films. The Mandalorian was the flagship show of Disney Plus, with the first episode premiering alongside the streaming service's launch. Recently, Lucasfilm confirmed it would be coming to the big screen with The Mandalorian and Grogu, directed by Jon Favreau himself. Let's see. Speaking on an earnings call, Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed these plans, indicating this movie will likely release in 2026. Iger also confirmed this would be the first of a new slate of Star Wars movies, quote, a number of which have already been announced, unquote, or end quote. 3 other upcoming Star Wars movies have been officially announced to date, and this confirms others are in the works as well. Star Wars is returning to the big screen in style. And then here's the actual official slates. So Mandalorian and Grogu, the untitled Rey's New Jedi Order movie, Dawn of the Jedi, and Mandalorian era climax movie. Lucasfilm's theatrical plans for Star Wars were put on a hiatus after the box office failure of Solo, Star Wars Story, and the critical and popular backlash against Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. I like how they stated that in this article, popular backlash, because that is kind of what happened there. Let's see, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The studio pivoted to the small screen, focusing on a range of popular Star Wars Disney Plus shows. These have been a tremendous success, but it was always only a matter of time before Lucasfilm headed back to the big screen. What's more, given Din Djarin was the frontrunner for the Disney Plus shows, it makes sense the characters from The Mandalorian are leading the charge. The most intriguing part of Iger's comment, though, is his implication that the other mystery projects are in the works as well. This presumably includes Donald Glover's Lando, which has shifted back to being a movie rather than a TV show. They're doing that a lot lately. But there must be more. Iger seems to be implying there are other surprises in various stages of development, a prospect that will surely delight and excite the fan base. I think that's pretty much the gist of the story there. So, we pretty much speculated Mando and Grogu was next, and now this is just from, Papa Iger himself, kind of confirming this, and I think that works for me. Yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. This seems to be like the actual order that they're coming out in here, going back to this as well. Mandalorian and Grogu from Jon Favreau, Rey's New Jedi Order movie, Sharmino Bay Chinoy, Dawn of the Jedi from Mangold, and then the Mandalorian era climax movie from Dave Filoni. I like this as a movie slate. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, the one that intrigues me most is Dawn of the Jedi. Isn't that an EU book, if I remember right?
There was one, yeah. But so was New Jedi Order too. To be fair.
So what would make sense to me is if you're doing a Rey movie and essentially it's going to be Rey starting the next wave, next generation of Jedi.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming. It would be interesting after you do that movie, you go to Dawn of the Jedi, which would be about the very first Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a cool direction for it to go.
Yeah.
And then the end of the era, it's clearly going to be Heir of the Empire.
Yeah, this slate, I think you bring up a good point there, because this slate, again, it does feel a lot more planned out to me, like, than it has been in the past. And I think, again, we like to avoid the negativity on this segment, but we can critique things as they come. And one of the critiques that we've had in the past is definitely the lack of the plan, in Star Wars. And this slate feels a lot more planned out, a lot more, it's definitely clear cut to me. I do like Mando and Grogu being first because it is a surefire bet to me. I think that makes sense because of how surefire it is. That's a popular character, 2 popular characters. Grogu's going to make money. People are going to go to the theater to see Grogu. You put them in the trailer, they're there.
Non-Star Wars fans like Grogu. He is literally the new Minions.
Exactly. And you got to catch that casual fan base. You got to get them back too, along with the hardcore fan base, and that's something that both sections of Star Wars fans agree on. And then going into Rey's New Jedi Order movie, looking at that a little bit, I think that the nice thing about that is at that time, not only will we have a new Mandalorian movie that's out there and ready to go, but we're also going to be looking at more stuff on Disney Plus. At that point, we'll have Acolyte, Andor Season 2, and Skeleton Crew, along with Ahsoka. And then if you don't like that stuff, you go to the animated stuff, right? Or you go to the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, variety, is my point. You're going to have this huge thing of variety by the time the Rey movie comes out, a ton of it, and I don't think anybody's even going to care. Even the section of people that don't want to see it, they're just not going to go, and I think that's fine. They're going to stay home and watch whatever Star Wars they want on Disney Plus, and I think that'll work. We have to assume the rest of the stuff is good, obviously, for that.
The Lando thing's going to be the bomb. Donald Glover's never let me down.
We'll get into that in a second. Yeah, but Rey's New Jedi Order movie I think is good. But yeah, I do like what you're saying about going from there to the Dawn of the Jedi. It does feel a little bit more about how the EU used to slate things too, and I think that doing things like this will kind of remind people of that. But the other part about it I love, it's like, okay, so now this Rey Jedi Order movie, new Jedi Order movie, it now connects back to the sequels in a big way, which means that, you know, one of the things the sequels introduced was the planet Octo, which is probably going to be in Mangold's movie, right? So that's going to connect probably all the way back to Mangold's movie, full circle, which will then, you know, then eventually we're going to get like this big, they're calling it climax movie. I find that hysterical for some reason, but that is what it is essentially. It's just but the most simple way to put it, I guess, you know, the Mandalorian era climax movie, their Avengers Endgame essentially.
Yeah, Heir of the Empire is what, or their Heir of the Empire-esque movie.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be. Obviously, I mean, I would want to ask you because I do want your take. I know Jose and I talked about this in nauseum, but of all these projects that are slated here anyway, which one are you looking forward to most?
Obvious answer would be the Mandalorian. If the Mandalorian is what I believe it to be, Mandalorian climax movie.
Yeah, yeah, that's the obvious
if that's
one.
going to be Heir of the Empire, you got me. But Dawn of the Jedi, because I'm looking at that and I don't know what it is, and so
Right.
I'm just intrigued in general.
Yes,
And I love Logan.
I agree with you. Yes, I think I echo almost every sentiment there in the sense that, like, yes, because we could be pretty certain it's going to be fire, the Mandalorian era climax movie. And also, I think you and I just both have a huge love for Thrawn. I mean, that's
Throw
like
Thrawn anywhere, I'm there.
that movie's made for us, you know. Definitely. So that's the one, and again with the Rebels characters being brought into it, and probably the classic OG characters. That's a movie that's tailor made for fans like you and I, for sure. But then, you know, to go with, you know, something new, I also, like, I can't help but to be curious about Dawn of the Jedi, because I do want something fresh, something new, and I'm curious to see how they can do that. I do think that this is, you know, Mangold's Indiana Jones movie aside, you know, which I didn't enjoy, or I enjoyed, you didn't enjoy, but, you know, that aside, you know, it's not, this is the thing, like I was talking about Rian Johnson messing with OG characters, James Mangold messed with an OG character. This is something of his own inception. He's got less to be tied to, I feel like, and that's why I have faith in this movie. Like, and he's a great director. You know what I mean? When he can be left alone a little bit, so leave him alone a little bit.
I do want to set the record straight. I am all for watching Indiana Jones sleep in a lounge chair.
Okay.
He did not mess with an OG character in that opinion. I just like the movie as a whole.
No, it's fair.
But I am okay with Indiana Jones chilling in a lounge chair.
I got you. I guess my point is like, it's not Mangold's not doing a Luke Skywalker movie. So like, my point is like, we don't have like a certain set of expectations for the film overall and how that's supposed to look and feel and all that.
If anything, this could be our doorway into getting Old Republic era stuff.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do think, because I do remember when they rolled out the timeline that they did at the last Star Wars Celebration. I mean, Old Republic was on there. You know what I mean? They had it after Dawn of the Jedi and before High Republic. You know, so it was in between those two things. They are planning to do Old Republic. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I do think you're right.
Money.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense why they wouldn't. And like, Dawn of the Jedi is a great gateway. You're not wrong about that. And I feel like this is, I love that there's no expectations for this, and I also think like it gives him an opportunity to start to go darker with the stuff. I think if Acolyte does well, you're going to see a mandate that he needs to be darker, because if Acolyte is dark as they say it is, and it actually does well and people love it as much as I think that they will, yeah, man, I think that's going to bode well for it. Yeah, man, I mean. Yeah, for me right now, to be fair, I mean, I am, while I'm not against the movie happening, I am looking forward to the new Jedi Order movie the least, and that's not even necessarily to do with Rey so much as it is like the new Jedi Order books in the EU were some of the least interesting ones, you know, that they did. But on the same hand, I am excited to go to new territory. So there's still a little bit of freshness there.
We just know 0% chance of Thrawn, and we're just like, meh.
Yeah, I need to know who the villain is before I can get excited about it.
Yeah.
Um, Star Wars has always only been as good as its villains to me. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
God, it's gonna end up being Palpatine again.
yeah, I need to know who the villain is, man. If it's like, if I need to know what the threat is, what we're up against, and then that'll get me more excited. Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm already, that's already pre-cooked for me because I know that they're living in a galaxy now where Thrawn exists, like you said.
Yeah.
And so now I'm already like that, already ramped up my excitement because of that. It's tailor made for me. So Dawn of the Jedi, because it's like literally a topic we're curious about. I mean, I think we've all kind of thought of that at one point or another. How did the Jedi start? How did we get there? How do we look at that? And then with Ray's movie, it's like, and again, it's nothing to do with Ray or Daisy Ridley or whatever, or the director or anything. It's just, it's okay. What's the threat? What are we up against? What is the concept of a new Jedi Order movie outside of her? She can't like train Jedi for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You got to have something else going on, and that's the unfortunate part about that. For that movie right now, but I'll be keeping an eye out for it. And then they go on to mention Lando being a movie now, and I don't know if you were being sarcastic or not about Donald Glover.
Oh no, I love everything Donald
I was
Glover.
gonna say I thought you loved Donald Glover, but I
Yeah.
just couldn't tell in your tone and cadence there.
Oh yeah, no, everything he does is fire. Like, have you
Right.
watched Swarm yet?
No, but I mean it's the writer of Atlanta, so
Yeah,
there's
I mean
that.
Atlanta's
You
a
know what I mean?
masterpiece.
Yeah. Uh, Lando is gonna. I think it's gonna be good. Yeah, if he's got the absolute control over the direction of it, which it sounds like he does, and also the fact that like, dude, like, okay, like I thought Alden did a good job in Solo, like doing his own take on Han Solo, but like
Yeah.
Donald Glover was
Oh yeah,
Lando,
stole every
like
scene.
was Lando, like he became Lando somehow, like it was uncanny.
Give me the Lando cut.
100%. Like he became Billy D. Williams. Like I don't know how he did it, but he did, and he's a good actor, talented guy, and overall, I do want some new Star Wars music incorporated in there that we haven't heard before, like because his composition skills are off the charts, so I want to hear that in this movie. Definitely looking forward to Lando quite a bit here. Yeah, that's one. Do you think we're going to? I was going to ask you this. Do you think we're going to stay in the Crimson Dawn of it all, or you think we're going to kind of get out of that here? You think we're going to revisit that? Maybe catch up with Kira and Maul in that film as well, see what they're up to. I mean, it's
I think
possible.
Lando's just gonna be doing his own thing.
All right, all right. That's another one of those things though. While I already have a prerequisite for how great Donald Glover's Lando is and how great Donald Glover's writing is. So I'm still excited. That's another one of those things where it's like, I do want to know what we're up against. I want to know the plot. I want to know what he's doing. Now you give me like Lando's John Wick.
All right, hear
I'm
me
all
out.
in,
Do you remember in Heir of the Empire where Thrawn stole Lando's mining equipment?
Yes. Yeah.
What if that's a part of this? And he'll be in the Mandalorian era closer.
The Donald Glover rendition. Again, I'm not doubting his ability to just become Lando because I've seen it done already. I just, in my head, it just works better if he stays younger than the Billy D version. But if they do that and they pull it off, I'm not mad about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
it'd be
mad
cool.
about it. Just it's one of those what do you call
I
that? Like things that I can't process in my mind yet. But if they pull it off, yeah, I'm not mad about it again.
look up how old Billy D was
Mm.
in Star Wars, and then how old Lando is in
I
Star
mean,
Wars.
I know Donald's a Star Wars fan. I don't know how
Yeah,
steeped into the lore he is to want to do something along those lines of Lando and Thrawn, as you mentioned. Because again, you're aging him up a bit at that point, to the Billy D age. But
only
again,
6 years difference.
yeah,
Billy D was 46, and Donald is 40 right now.
you're right. Yeah, yeah. Again, if they pull it off, I'm not going to be mad about it. And you're not wrong though, because like, see, this is the difference. And again, this isn't an insult because Alden did his best with what he had and all that. But like, I mean, the guy took a job and he did his best with it. But like, you can't do that with Alden, right? You can't make Alden solo now. Like, nobody would buy it. But like I said, with Lando, they would buy Donald Glover as the older Lando, you know, in his 40s, as you said, because they are closer to age now. This thing's not going to come out for another 6 years anyway. So he's going to be, you know, 46 by then. Man, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought of that. My prediction, though, if I'm going to be real about it, my prediction is still that I think he is going to revisit the Crimson Dawn stuff. I really do. But I again, I like your take. I really like your take. That all of a sudden sounds so much more fascinating to me. Like, yeah, no mall guys. Sorry, you all get over it.
I know
Like,
I'm a huge. I actually just got a mall figure today.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. I
yeah,
think it's too better if it separated itself from the Lando movie and just did its own thing.
yeah. I mean, it could be cool with Maul though if it's
I mean, solo movie.
we don't have to see like Maul in like a ton of action or anything. I mean, we'll see him in a little bit of action if it was Kira and Maul, but like it's just gonna be cool like watching Lando work his way up to becoming who we see in Empire. You know what I mean? And part of that's probably gonna have to do with doing business with Maul, I would imagine. You know what I mean? Like Lando's got to get his hands a little dirty to do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the direction I think they're gonna go. If I had to predict it, is we're gonna see him become the guy in Cloud City as we see in Empire. I think that's what we're going to see, which he gets his hands dirty to do so. I'm pretty positive. But if this Lando movie does well, and if that's the idea, you better believe they're going to go with your idea if it makes money. You know what I mean? Because
Oh yeah, definitely.
like they're going to do something, they're going to do another one, they're going to demand another one if it makes money, and it will, you know, come to what you. I think your concept is pretty spot on for maybe a sequel or another one, if this one makes money. So yeah, no, super excited about these movies. I think this is a pretty damn good slate for the most part. I don't know what happened to my screen here, so give me a second, and I want to pull the stories back up here, because I had one more interesting one. Oh, damn it. Oh, there we go. Okay, came back. Okay, cool. So I had one more story here for us that I wanted to take a look at in terms of Star Wars, and let me get that off the screen too. Where'd that go? There we go. And let's take a look at this one. So as we know, it is the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. So this definitely excited me quite a bit. I am going to get my hands on these. And this comes from Star Wars Newsnet. We are looking at this here. Star Wars prequels celebrate their 25-year anniversary in Empire magazine's new covers. After teasing major Star Wars news yesterday, Empire magazine revealed today 2 new covers for their upcoming issue celebrating 25 years of the Star Wars prequels. Check out the covers below, and then this is what we're looking at here. I don't know how well you can see those, but they're pretty sick.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to get my hands on like all of them pretty much at this point. So yeah, these are the covers here.
I was really hoping you're going to say it's like, oh, Taco Bell's running the campaign again.
This one kind of looks like a Where's Waldo game.
Yeah, is it supposed to be like the figures? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the figures. Pretty neat though.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
Yeah. Where's Yaddle? Yeah, so no, that looks pretty neat. Yeah, I really love these. I definitely want to grab those when they come out. I don't know, Josh, looking back at the prequels, what's your relationship been with those films? And like,
No, I love them.
Yeah, I again, I hesitate to say I love them. I love Revenge of the Sith. I hesitate to say I love the other two, but I have fun with them. You know what I mean?
I saw
Like,
my original Taco Bell Phantom Menace poster.
I love that. The cups, man. Remember the cups?
Oh, the cups are awesome.
The cups
yeah.
are amazing. Can we still get our hands on those?
Oh yeah, easy. They're like
Oh,
$2.
man. Yeah, those cups. Those cups are phenomenal. Love the cups.
Do you remember the Mall Mania? Just every single Darth Maul they were putting out.
Yeah. Yeah, everything was Maul. Like that was the everybody was so curious about what that character was and what he was going to be, and I remember that, and I also remember the pogs are,
Oh
my
yeah,
reference point to Phantom Menace. So do you think they're going to re-release Phantom Menace this year in the theaters for
they
25 years?
better.
Yeah, I
I'll be
want
there in a heartbeat.
I want to go on in May when I first saw it. Hopefully they re-release it for the summer in
They
May.
did the 3D cut. You remember that?
I remember nobody being happy about it. I didn't go. I had a never mind. Uh I'm not proud of it, but I had a girlfriend at the time that did not like Star Wars. So she just didn't want to go.
I don't remember
Um
why I didn't go.
you didn't go either.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know why.
I was ready to go. I wanted to go. I even got a poster of it and I lost it. There was they were giving out free posters. We went to see that horror movie. Do you remember this? It was called The Collected.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we went to see The Collected in theaters, my ex-girlfriend and I, and they gave us free Phantom Menace 3D posters afterward because nobody went to see it.
And then they're gonna do the third one actually of the collector series, and it I think it was done and it just got axed.
hmm
Like Tom Atkins and everything was going to be in it.
Yep. Yeah. No. No. The Collector series. Yeah. I was really looking forward to that. I'm
Yeah, a lot of people were.
one of the rare fans of those movies. Or I shouldn't say that. A lot of the first one has a following. The second one, I not everybody loved, but I actually had a really great time with that movie, especially in the theater. But yeah, I came out of that and got that 25 or not 25 year, but the 3D Phantom Menace poster afterward for free. So that was neat. And was gonna get tickets, and for some reason, like I said, my ex girlfriend did not like Star Wars, so that means I couldn't go either, apparently. So there was that. So,
And
uh,
now she's gone and Star Wars remains.
excuse me. Yeah, a couple more details on these. Yes, that's correct. A couple more
No one's ever
details.
truly gone.
That's right. Damn it, Luke. All right. So a couple more details on these magazines that I just want to throw out there. The magazine is also advertising interviews with the main cast, including Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, Liam Neeson, and Samuel L. Jackson. Snippets from their coverage will likely be posted on their website over the next week, leading up to the magazine hitting stands on Thursday, February 15th. The Phantom Menace turns 25 in May, which is the main reason behind this push, even if it seems a bit early. We expect a bigger push from Lucasfilm altogether over the next few weeks to celebrate the anniversary, especially as the movies have gained a new overall level of appreciation by the fan base over the past 7 years or so. I almost got to wonder too. Now, this would be pretty ballsy, but what if they release all three in theaters again? If they're going to do the magazine covers just as a celebration of the prequels overall, like, is it possible? Like, over the course, they need something to happen for them right now. I feel like they need something
Yeah,
positive for the fan base right now, and this would be pretty neat. I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm just proposing it because if they're gonna celebrate all the prequels in this Empire thing, why not release them all in theaters?
yeah, because as much as like I like the prequels, episode two is going to be a hard sell for its 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith is going to be, but that's going to be gangbusters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could see them doing kind of like the Lord of the Rings marathons that a lot of theaters do, where they do all three movies back to back.
Yeah, I love what you said there about Attack of the Clones being a harder sell for its anniversary too. Like, because you're right. Like, yeah, I mean, like, there's I don't know, like, how many of us were like stoked about Attack of the Clones when it came out. Like, we had this like certain nostalgia for Phantom Menace, and Revenge of the Sith was hype because of the concept of the movie and the plot.
Yeah,
But like, for some reason, something about Attack of the Clones at the time, it was really like almost something about it felt bland, like going to see it. Like, not just because of the movie, like even before, the hype on it was like, and I think it's because it took so long to come out, like it felt like everything was just dying at the time. You know what I mean?
that and also, I mean, when Phantom Menace came out, it didn't have a good reception, so the initial hype was just down.
Right.
And
That
you
too.
literally can't screw up a movie about Anakin turning into Vader.
Yeah, exactly. So like I think yeah, everybody was looking forward to Revenge of the Sith at the time, not so much now that you mention it, Attack of the Clones, and I actually kind of forgot about like how little hype was surrounding that movie at the time. And actually, I remember hearing the movie. I was young at the time, but I remember hearing like a big thing about how bad the reviews were for Attack of the Clones,
Oh
like
yeah,
that it
yeah, I
wasn't
remember
good,
that.
and like that was a big deal at the time. Like everybody was like, it's not good, you know. Like Phantom Menace, not as much at first because at first everybody was kind of either lying to themselves or just you know what I mean, like kind of what happened with the Last Jedi a little bit, you know what I mean, like where everybody came out of it like, oh, I loved it, and then like didn't take but a weekend, I think, back then before people to finally come out and say, you know, it's really not that good, you know. So yeah, you're right. And then with Attack of the Clones, it was like right from the get go, people were already expecting it to suck, and then they went in and came out with that opinion. You know what I mean? It just it didn't really do much to push anybody on that. Although I, as a kid, man, it was fun. You know, I
I was
enjoyed
like,
it.
I remember not liking Attack of the Clones as a kid, but
Yeah,
I loved Phantom Menace.
yeah. Um, I think I remember thinking they were both boring in my head, but like I still loved everything surrounding them. Both movies.
Yeah.
Like in my head watching them as a kid, and again now I have fun with all of them, but yeah, in my head as a kid it was like, yeah, this is a boring film. I felt like even for Phantom Menace, with the exception of the, you know, two big lightsaber moments you get in that. That being the beginning and the end. um and the pod race obviously was amazing. And for me as a kid even. And I remember that
Maybe
movie being particularly loud. Like I'll never forget that. Like for some reason, like Phantom Menace. I've been to the movies before that as a kid, but for some reason, Phantom Menace when I walked in there, it felt louder. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember that bothered me as a kid. I don't know why. Like
I remember as a kid, like looking at my dad, like, yo, so that little blonde haired boy, that's gonna become Vader? That's Vader?
yeah, no,
I remember
no.
that just blowing my mind.
I remember. Oh no, no, for sure. I remember standing in a line and like because I already had the Pogs, man, and the action figures. I was like ready for Anakin, and then like I was probably in the line going yippee Anakin, you know, like getting ready for it. Because I remember the very long line we had to stand in. I just remember the dude behind me going, you know, it's like Darth Vader, right?
And
Like
you're just like, yo, what?
ruining my childhood, some random dude. And like, yeah, exactly. And like that idea baffled me so much. I remember my siblings were with me too in line, and I remember we all went home and watched Return of the Jedi, and like referenced the line where Obi-Wan says, you know, Anakin Skywalker, and we were like, oh, you know what I mean? Even though like the Emperor said it in Empire, but I think we watched Return of the Jedi in particular because the guy was like, he was probably some artsy dude. He was probably like, oh, you got to listen to the exposition, kids, on Return of the Jedi, you know. And so I remember, I think that was the whole reason that we put on Return of the Jedi when we got home, special
Uh,
edition VHS.
do you remember the really cool promotional poster for Phantom Menace where it's Anakin, but behind like little kid Anakin, and the shadow behind him is Vader's silhouette?
I had the backpack.
That thing was so cool.
Yeah,
I need to track down one of those posters, an
the
original.
posters were cool. You're not wrong about that. I almost would want to get one too. I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I had the backpack of that where
Yeah.
his
I
shift
think
silhouette was Vader.
I
That
think
was
I had
dope.
that too.
They should like, I don't know. I'm more surprised by we did get a few figures for Phantom Menace coming, like the Droideka I have pre-ordered and everything, but I am kind of surprised by the lack of figures. I hope we get more. I think it needs to have its own something. Like I don't know, like for the 25th anniversary here, like it's gotta.
Taco Bell needs to pair up with them and just do the cups again. Those would sell like crazy.
That's kind of where I was heading with that. Like in my head, I was thinking like, why not just re-release the old figures? You know, like and design them exactly how they were. You know, like I think that would be neat. Or old toys. You know, re-release the Pogs. You know, sell the Pogs again. You know, you could have the whole collection for $100. You know, like
Yeah, it
do
would
that.
sell.
Yeah, or
Like,
whatever. You know.
like McDonald's has been doing those adult Happy Meals.
Yeah.
Just do that
Yeah.
with the cups again. It would It'd be crazy.
Wasn't that Taco Bell though?
Yeah, it was Taco Bell.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which restaurant chain put those out. It was Taco Bell, if I'm not
Yeah, because I
mistaken.
have the Taco Bell poster up still. It has the
Yeah,
Taco Bell logo underneath it.
yeah. But I think
I found
McDonald's had toys with the Happy Meals, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I remember getting a Jar Jar in a bag at one point.
they may have. I know that I just don't talk about how the cups. I remember that.
Uh, you know, I had a cardboard cutout of Jar Jar Binks when I was a kid.
That's awesome. Here we go, 2-for-1 sale of the poster we want.
Really?
It's the Anakin with the Shadow of Vader, and then the original theatrical poster for
Get
$30.
Oh, get them. Also, I'll pay my half.
Oh no,
But
you get those two, one of each.
I see. I thought it was like 2 for 1, like we did with Sabine on that. Okay.
Ah, no, unfortunately
Okay.
not.
Yeah, I got
But
you.
there's a bunch on here though.
I got you. Yeah, no, I'll look at it though for sure. That's pretty neat. Yeah, I would love to have that poster again. For sure. Yeah, I had a cardboard cutout of Jar Jar Binks though because my cousin had one, and I had to get one too. I was like, I need this. And then I also remember, I think he had like an Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon too, cardboard cutout. But as a kid, of course, I was going for Jar Jar. And
I had
then
Vader or Maul's lightsaber.
Maul's lightsaber, I had a plastic one. I didn't have like the
Yeah, that's yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
like you'd flip it and the blade would shoot out.
Yeah, yeah, though that's
Yep.
the one I had. Yeah, and you would have to piece it together too. Like,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah. No, I
oh,
love that thing.
dude, when the plastic lightsabers came out for Attack of the Clones, though, I was like, oh yeah, purple lightsaber. I was
I
so
got
stoked to get that.
now I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out
Yeah,
and Walmart had all those they had that giant display. I remember digging through them trying to find Vader's lightsaber. When I finally did, oh my god, I begged my mom, like, I need this one.
I want to say I had Vader's too. I remember I had Dooku's as well when Attack of the Clones came out, but it was an electronic one. It was still
Yeah, it was
plastic.
like one of the deluxe ones. Yeah,
I had Dooku's, yeah, and
that's
like that was
awesome. Yeah.
deluxe. Yeah, I remember that one. I might still be able to find that somewhere. I need to dig for that because I might actually still be able to find that one. So
Do you
Dooku's was
remember
dope.
the hilts even had a little thing that you could like put it in your the side of your pants, like had a little belt buckle.
Yes, I do. The clips.
That was so
Yeah.
cool. I wore that thing everywhere.
I think I broke them all the time though. Like I think I broke a clip on one of them and I had to get a new one or something like or I was begging to get a new one at one point. Cuz
We would do call it the sack duels, and like I treated this thing like a real lightsaber.
oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
I would like make sure no one else could touch it. Like I set off to the side.
You remember Yoda's plastic lightsaber? It was shorter. Did you have that one when
Yeah,
Attack of the Clones
I didn't
came
have.
out?
I only had Vader's.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Yoda's was cool. It was shorter and like I always just thought that was so awesome. Man, this is yeah, the memories, man, of shopping in the toys or not even toy stores. You can just go to Walmart and get this shit back
You
in the day.
know, I had a Phantom Menace bicycle,
Oh my
and it had a
gosh.
Darth Maul lunchbox and attached to the front that was Darth Maul's face,
Okay.
and then it was all Star Wars themed, like padding and all that.
Mm,
And then it had like the uh, why am I blanking on their names? Like the roly poly droids, little plastic
Droidicas.
ones of those, and the
Droidicas.
bike spokes.
Yeah. That's so sick. I
Yeah, I
remember
love that thing.
I'm trying to think of what other ones I had. Like I do remember going to I've rebought them all now. Like I had the Qui-Gon and the Maul like figures and all that. Well, I actually the one that was my favorite. I still haven't picked that one up again. I see it all the time when we go shopping for toys now. You and I, the Maul with the speeder. I just need to get it again. Because that was my favorite one when I was a kid. Was Maul with the speeder. That action figure was so sick. I've now gotten because I wanted it as a kid and I got it now. Obi-Wan slicing Maul in half. I have that toy now, which I love that thing. You just hit the trigger and Obi-Wan just like side by side, goes side to side and like slices Maul in half. It's pretty sick. Do you remember we talked about this actually just recently, the Phantom Menace game. I remember my
Yep.
cousin bringing that over for the first time and like thinking that was just the shit. Like I thought that game was amazing, and then they've now just recently re-released it, and it's not the shit, it's just shit.
I need to download it. I need to destroy my nostalgia.
You definitely need to give it a test run. Yeah, it's like it's bad. It's really bad. But it's fun as hell
I wonder if they put it on PC yet.
to a degree. The graphics are like make Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon look like paper mache. I mean, it's unreal. They
Could you
probably have on
imagine
PC.
if they put this out on PC and then people just modded it?
I don't know why they wouldn't. They should just do that.
It looks like it's not out on PC yet because
Okay.
it's still on abandonware.
Damn. Okay. When it comes to PC though, I'm looking forward to those mods. They will mod it once it comes
Oh
out.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what's really scary is like when you sat up there, it looks like there's a shadow figure behind you. I don't know if you caught that, but
What?
like when you sit up, like, oh, it's your chair though, is what it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the way it
Like,
was blurring out, like it looked like a shadow figure was sitting behind
it's
you.
like I got the talk to me hand. I didn't know if I was conjuring something or
No,
not.
no, 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 no. No, that hand is dope though. But yeah, man, yeah, figure shopping back in Walmart. I miss when you could just go in there and they had it all. But now you go in there, you can't even get like sequel stuff in Walmart now. You know, it's like it
You can
sucks.
find Lando and Andor Leia.
Somebody's got a real fancy Walmart out in like Los Angeles or something that has all this stuff. And they're just like laughing at us right now. Yeah, man, but no, it's fun. It's fun. All right, guys, look, that's really it. That's the show. So I want to thank everybody for joining here today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did as well. Yeah, Jose couldn't make it in today, but I know we were talking about doing the Monarch review, and I was gonna do Monarch. He was gonna do Percy Jackson. I haven't finished Monarch, and he's not here to do Percy Jackson, so we're gonna have to wait for another weekend where like nothing else comes out, and we'll talk about those at some point. But I'm definitely still looking forward to reviewing those for you guys. And yeah, again, just want to thank everybody for being here. Josh, I know you don't really social media much, but where can people find you before we go?
I have two little short films on Dirt and Pumpkin Guts Productions. You can watch those if you want or not. I don't care.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate you being here. And before I get out of here, you guys can find me on Twitter at Dom_Martino_, on Instagram, Dom_Martino_official. Please be sure to follow the Extract Media pages at Extract Media Blog across both platforms, Twitter, now X, and Instagram. So please do that when you can. And like I said, before we go, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit the bell for notifications. Do all the things. It's always much appreciated if you enjoyed the content here today. And without further ado, I've been Don Martino. That's been Josh Richards, and we will talk to you guys later.